Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the title of the video, as well as the intro, today we're going over these accessories from the folks over at Midwest Industries. This is their Alpha series, and it really is kind of the most modern representation of how you could accessorize an AK. Now, there may be some exceptions to that we'll get to a little bit later on here in the video, and we don't have all of their Alpha series stuff on here because they do make different options that aren't included on here, which we will get to here in just a little bit. But before we continue on into the actual accessories themselves, I do want to say that today is a Mug Club video. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do the free version here over on YouTube and Rumble, and basically go over the different accessories from Midwest Industries, and then we're going to head over to Mug Club. And Mug Club, for folks who don't know, is a place where online creators can create content censor-free and not have to worry about showing you, like, for example, I can't show you how to install this on YouTube. It's not allowed. But what we're going to do over on Mug Club is go over the best AKs, the ones I recommend in America right now that you guys can't actually get because that list is always shrinking. And then additionally, there's all kinds of content from other folks over there, like Steven Crowder, Alex Jones, the Hodge twins, Nick DiPaolo, Brian Callen. Some of those folks are comedians. Some of those folks obviously are talking heads, if you will, on the internet. Some of them are both. And that content is exclusive over there. And if you guys want to sign up and check that out, there will be a code on your screen here that will get you guys a free month. And the website should be here to sign up as well. And there's some interesting stuff going on over there, and millions of folks watching over there, which is really cool for someone like me to be exposing this type of content to those folks is probably the best way to say it. So with that, let's get into the Handguard, get up close and personal, and then walk through the different accessories of the Alpha line. Before jumping into the Handguard, I should note that part of the Alpha line is, of course, a muzzle brake, and I did remove that for the filming of this video. We added the Huxworks silencer on there. I'm not a huge muzzle brake fan, but if you guys like muzzle brakes, it's super effective in terms of reducing recoil and muzzle rise. Again, no, I'm just not a muzzle brake kind of guy, so we took it off. But getting back into the Handguard, this is the 10-inch version. They make a 6-inch version as well. And one thing I'm going to note before getting into all the different stuff we're going to talk about today is that Midwest Industries makes a ton of different AK accessories. If you want things to be Alpha Series compatible, you need to get the Alpha Series version of each one. For example, I do have a video on their Handguard, their MLOK Handguard. It's been up for years now at this point, but if you were to use that old MLOK Handguard, which is still going to be made because it's still a really good product, if you're going to use that one, it's not compatible with the other Alpha accessories, if that makes sense. So if you want to go Alpha, you got to go Alpha, with the exception of the stock that we'll get to here in just a second, because that kind of is an independent piece. But the Handguard here, this is the 10-inch version. They also make a 6-inch version that basically goes back here to the retainers. One thing I should note is that this does not require permanent modification to your gun. So unlike pretty much any other competitive accessories, if you will, to this, you don't need to permanently alter your gun. I know a lot of folks out there will like that. And of course, this was based on some of the, I guess, inspired by is a better word for that, some of the Russian stuff that was coming in over the years. But of course, with the Ukraine war happening and all of the sanctions, that stuff can't come in anymore. And also, this is way cheaper than that stuff was. So for example, if you were to get like a Zenit Co Handguard that's similar to this but definitely not as capable as this, those things right now are running like $600 to $800, and this is way cheaper than that, and honestly probably a better product, at least in my opinion. I've used both. But anyway, the Handguard here, what is it? What goes into it? Well, this one, the big thing that you can't see here, but from a shooting experience, you absolutely notice real quick versus any competitive offerings out there, is the heat shield. The heat shield in here does a very good job at keeping your hand cool. Additionally, if you look up here at the top, a lot of folks are going to want to buy just this Handguard and use it as an optics mount for like an aim pipe micro or something like that with a low mount, and that way you'll be able to co-witness with your optics, which it definitely allows you to do. And one thing that's nice about this Handguard versus like the Ultimac rail or even the Midwest Industries gas tube rail is that there's actual separation from your gas block. Additionally, it's very well vented, both along the sides here as well as on the top, as you can see there. So one of the big problems with mounting a red dot on your AK gas block, gas tube, is that it gets hot and can get overheated. It can kill your dot, the heat can. And this one's going to stay way cooler than pretty much any other design out there that I've seen to date. So I do like that design if you're going to go that route. Now it has MLOK at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock position. Obviously we're running this vertical foregrip that we have been running. And additionally we have this light here on the side. And if you look here at how we have it set up, this is the Surefire Turbo Pro. So we have it mounted very, very close to the handguard, so it keeps everything nice and tucked in and sleek and slim. Honestly, it's one of the more ergonomic setups on an AK I've used to date. With my hand on the vertical foregrip, I can easily come up and actuate that light like you see there, and it's just very ergonomic to come on and off. Now, one thing I talked about earlier was that heat guard, or heat shield rather, in there doing a good job at keeping it cool. One thing that is I guess we'll say a con, but also a pro, like we said, you don't need to modify your rifle, right? The con of that is that you still have your sling retainer, which could be a pro as well if you want to use it, and you still have your gas tube retainer here, which are exposed. The con is they get really hot. So while the handguard, being 6061 aluminum, is going to stay relatively cool, especially with all the venting that it has and the heat shield, those two pieces are still ComBlock AK steel, and they get hot. So if you forget about it, it will remind you very, very quickly should your thumb go on there. And I should note that the mounting hardware back here interfaces with the receiver and is steel and is pretty much rock solid. I mean, this is one of the absolute stiffest handguards I've used, especially on an AK to date. Like if you were going to mount lights, lasers, etc., things like that, or lasers is really what I'm talking about in this instance, on there, I wouldn't worry about it moving. It's very solid, and I wouldn't worry about your lasers walking on you at all. It's going to stay pretty darn tight. The next thing to go over here is this optics interface, and basically this comes in a number of different flavors from the folks over at Midwest Industries, but we have here this aluminum piece that bolts in to our handguard right here. Additionally, it is secured to our trunnion, our front trunnion right here, via these two screws. And I should note that with AKs, expect some fitting. Like I said, I can't put a video of how to install this here on YouTube, but there will be some fitting on certain guns, particularly in this area. And that's one of the ways you achieve such a strong lockup with this system. You should note there, it does still allow for the use of your standard iron sights, so you're good to go there. Additionally, if you are back here on the top rail, which we'll talk about here in a second, but using like a low mounted aim point micro or any of the clones, you'll still get a lower 1/3 co-witness, so you'll be able to use your irons with it, whether it's mounted back here or up here. So that definitely is good. On this one here, we have it mounted to our top cover, the AK top cover, which has a rail on it, but they do offer the ability to have just an optics mount that installs on this, both for an aim point micro interface or just a 1913 rail, and that way you can keep your standard top cover and you don't have to go with the top cover mount like we have here. Of course, running the EOTech because we're trying to be alpha series, if you will. EOTech is alpha. There's no doubt about it in the AK world. So this one here we have mounted up with the magnifier, as you guys can see. And the reason I wanted to have that magnifier on there was to test the return to zero capability of this top cover. So let's check out how it did in that test. We're going to check out the return to zero here on the top cover. Now, this isn't like a super precision rifle, and obviously not a super precision optic setup, but we have a target downrange at 50 yards. The top cover is open. In the gun right now, we have some Red Army standard stuff, ammo, just so nothing fancy, and EOTech on there with a magnifier. Now, let's shoot a group, and then we will open it up again and shoot another group. The way I have this thing configured is not great for accuracy. Excuse factory. All right, let's see. All right, I'll open top cover. It's tight. With the EOTech, there's only so far, the way I have it mounted, there's only so much you can move it because of the interference here on the front. All right, all right, now we'll see if it's hitting the same spot. Looks like it returned to zero, at least as far as I can tell with the precision that we have out of the AK here. as y'all just saw, in my opinion, that's perfectly fine in terms of return to zero for an AK. One thing to note here is on this particular setup with the EOTech, in order to actually raise it up, you have to move the rear sight, but that's only because this optic is so long. But of course, whenever you're raising and lowering your top cover, one thing Midwest Industries, or really anybody who knows what they're talking about, recommends is run the charging handle a few times, because what you want to do is have this piece back here at the rear set in. And of course, this is fitted nice and snug, and you want to make sure that it's actually sticking out and putting pressure down on the rail. And that sort of is part of the overall design. That's how it's designed. It's designed to be rock solid because this piece here, which is part of the overall system, is pushing down on this top handguard. That's something that in the past you guys have seen before. We've tested on the channel. Other systems didn't have incorporated into it and it had problems. This thing does not move. I mean, like, legitimately, there's no wiggle in it at all. And in terms of return to zero for optics, it's honestly probably the best AK system I've seen to date. Is it a little bit more complex to install with all of this up here? It is. But if you actually want, your AK to maintain zero and you don't want to use the side mount, you want to use a top rail dust cover like this, it's a very, very solid system. Now we're going to get into the last piece of this puzzle, and that is this stock. There's a lot going on in the stock. Honestly, I could do a full video on the stock simply because it is a very, very well thought out design. And one thing that people are going to like about it is that it's not specific to AKs. So, you can put this on any rifle, if you will, that has a 1913 interface on the back. So like your SIG MCX, your Bren 2s, etc. It will work on there just fine. So, but I should say it is part of the Alpha series, and in order to install it on your AK, you're going to need to do one of two things. Midwest Industries has two different pieces that they use to install this to. One of them requires cutting off your rear tang. So you can see here, this piece replaces what your rear tang would be. And then they also offer another adapter that works with your rear tang. So whichever one you want to go with, you can go with for this stock. And this stock is completely reversible. So as it comes from the factory, it's kind of set up for right-handed shooters, I guess you could say, but it can be used with left-handed shooters just the same, and it's tight as could be. From the factory will fold over to the left, and as you can see there, that is how it looks when it is down. Basically, there's a little bit of spring tension to it, but nothing actually locking it in place. And then when you want to lock it open, you just do so, and it is extremely tight and extremely rigid. I've seen reports online of some guys saying that their stocks would just, you could tap it and it would come over. It's absolutely not the case with mine, I can tell you that much. You absolutely have to put some pressure on it to overcome that spring tension, as well as the little mechanical lock that this interface has. And the stock is completely adjustable in a lot of different ways. One thing to point out is that up here, we do have the quick detach points on there for your slings. If you guys want to use that, it is steel. It's going to last a long time. It also has the anti-rotation milling built into there, so that way your sling's just not going to spin on you. I didn't mention that earlier, but this also has it here up front, but this is an aluminum piece. So you may want to, for like really hard use guns, if you're going to be taking your sling sliver in and out often, run one of their little steel MLOK inserts, so that way you don't have to worry about that. But back here we are steel on this piece, and then of course we do have our ability to mount the quick detach there as well. But as you guys can see, this piece here adjusts up and down, so that way you can adjust it for optics or not. Additionally, I should note you can also adjust how high up it sits. Back here on the rear of this 1913, we have it of course mounted all the way up so it is flush. I'm not going to take this up and down because I have these screws set in there with some blue Loctite, which I recommend. If you guys are going to do it, I would kind of set it and leave it, just because rifles vibrate when you shoot them and things can come loose. But it is adjustable for length of pull. As you can see, like I was saying, mine's stiff. The people who are saying that theirs was very easily adjustable, that is not the case for this one, but that little button right there will do it. And you can work through the different positions, and it goes out kind of like freaky long, as you guys will see there. So that is an extraordinarily long buttstock for an AK. On some other rifles though, it's going to be more appropriate with that really kind of crazy length, but that's longer than like an A2 would be on an M16. So kind of crazy long, but you can do that. It has a lot of adjustability. And what's crazy about this is I think I intimated at it earlier, but this is completely reversible. Every single thing on this can be reversed for left-handed. So it can fold to the right. You can take this piece, put it over here on this side. You can take this toe, which is also adjustable. I didn't mention that earlier, but this toe can be adjusted. So that way, if you're wearing body armor, you can raise it up and have the gun sit a little bit lower, but completely adjustable all the way around. And again, everything is reversible, which is just very cool in terms of the design. Overall, the stock is solid. Again, I've seen some reports of guys online saying it's loose, but man, I don't know how it could be loose. This one here is very good, but of course, if you have any issues, Midwest Industries has good customer service. They've had that forever. They've long been known for that. So that is the stock. At this point in the video, we've covered each component, and I suppose, what do I think of them overall? Honestly, I think they're all very well done. The biggest con to this system, in my opinion, is weight. It's not lightweight, and when you start out with the AKM, which is a relatively heavy gun, at least compared to like the AR-15, it does get a little bit heavy, but it's very solid, right? And I know a lot of AK guys out there, what they're looking for is bomb-proof, rigid, durable types of systems, and Midwest Industries absolutely delivers in that front. The weight is a little bit heavy, but it's not terrible, I would say that. And of course, with the AK firing, if you're firing 7.60 by 3.9, which the majority of folks are, of course, you could be firing any number of calibers these days with AKs. But with that, it does help soak up some of the recoil. It's not bad at all firing this gun, that's for sure. So that would probably be the biggest con of it. The other con, of course, is that it's not free. Right, so the actual price is going to vary depending on the actual components that you choose. But if you guys are watching anywhere besides YouTube, there will be a link down below with a 10% off coupon code that you guys can use. But basically, each component, your handguard, your stock, your optics mounting system is going to run, generally speaking, somewhere in the $150 to $200 range. So for the total package here, you're looking at about $600. So it's not terribly expensive, especially when you compare it to other competitive offerings out there on the market. Basically, the entire system is the price of one of the other components from competitors out there. So not cheap, but compared to what's out there, inexpensive in my opinion, especially for the quality that you're getting. We've had absolutely zero issues with any of these components at all. And again, we've fired quite a number of rounds through at this point. Again, zero issues of any kind, so cannot complain about that. And I suppose with that, we will end the video on that. We're gonna, again, head over to Mug Club and talk about the best AKs that you can get right now in America. And then we're also gonna answer some chats from the viewers over there. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about any of these components, anything like that, let me know down below in the comments. I look forward to your comments down there, and we will do our best to answer them. And if you guys like this video and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed, we always appreciate you guys tuning back into the channel here. And if you're subscribed and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, I assure you I am putting them up. Somebody is censoring your eyes for my videos. If that is the case, probably an algorithm. So the way to overcome that, one way anyway, is to obviously hit the notification bell. If you haven't done that, hit the like button, all that stuff, because that does let YouTube know that you like these videos. But you can also sign up for the email at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month, and basically it just goes out with all of the videos since the previous month's email went out. So that way we cut through the algorithm and send it straight to you. And that also helps when I'm censored on YouTube, which I have been, and kicked off and things like that. Because I still publish videos regardless, so that way they will go straight to you. And additionally, if any of these things go on sale, we will put that out in the daily deals email: optics, lights, silencers, ammo, etc. If it's in that email, it's the cheapest I know of anywhere on the internet. Usually we're doing about 8 deals every day. And so that way it saves you guys some time and money, because I've already done the price comparisons for you. And then, of course, it saves you some money because it's cheap. It's the cheapest I know of anywhere on the internet. So you guys can sign up for that at the website here on your screen. We also have a good meme in there that folks seem to like. And with that, we're going to end it here on YouTube and head over to Mug Club. So with that, piss off, YouTube.